Hey all. So I'm Emily, 29 years old. I'm not the type who's into writing or stuff, but I gotta tell someone about what happened last Halloween. I had just moved to this small town, knew nothing about it. The town seemed perfect, with its quaint houses and tree-lined streets. The sun painted the town gold during the day, its warmth touching every leaf, every brick, every blade of grass. I thought it to be a fresh start, a peaceful place to build a new life. But as the days turned to nights, I could feel a certain chill in the air, a silence that seemed to whisper untold stories. The nights were eerily silent, and the breeze whispered through the trees, rustling the leaves gently as it passed through. The neighbors were friendly enough, but there was a hesitation in their smiles, a guarded warmth in their welcome. I dismissed it as a small-town quirk, convincing myself it was nothing more than the imagination of a city girl in a new place. Halloween approached, and the town transformed. Pumpkins adorned every porch, their carved faces grinning eerily in the anticipation of the celebration. The streets, which were bustling during the day with preparations, turned deserted as the night drew close. The air turned colder, and the quiet of the night was palpable. I decided to stay in, not being a fan of the Halloween frenzy. I prepared for a quiet night, looking forward to the comfort of a good movie and the warmth of hot chocolate. The first knock came as a surprise. A group of teenagers stood on my porch, their faces hidden behind an array of costumes. I admired their spirit and handed them candy, chuckling at their mumbled thanks and the hurried whispers as they discussed their next stop. They went off into the night, and I settled back in, pulling the blanket tighter around me as I sipped my hot chocolate, the movie playing forgotten in the background. Little did I know, the night was far from over. The calm was deceptive, and the silence outside hid whispers of stories untold, stories that were about to unfold, turning the quiet of the night into a haunting melody of knocks and whispers. But then, an hour later, they were back. I recognized them immediately. Same costumes, same faces, but something was off. Their eyes were dull, and their smiles were gone. I could feel a cold air enveloping them, seeping through the cracks of my doorway, making me shiver. Despite my growing unease, I reached into the candy bowl. I handed them the candies with a hesitant smile, trying to brush off the heavy feeling of dread that had settled in my chest. They turned away silently, and I watched them disappear into the darkness, their figures melting into the shadows. I closed the door quickly, locking it and trying to shake off the cold that clung to me. I peeped through the curtains, half expecting them to be standing in my yard, staring back at me. The street was empty, the previously vibrant Halloween decorations now seeming ominous in the silent night. I retreated to the living room, trying to lose myself in the movie, but the plot failed to hold my attention. I grabbed my phone, scrolling through social media, hoping the glimpses into other people's lively Halloween celebrations would distract me. Photos of friends in costumes, enjoying parties, and laughter filled my screen. It should have warmed me, but the cheerfulness on display only deepened my unease. The knock echoed through the house once again, louder and more insistent this time. I froze, my heart pounding against my chest, like a desperate echo of the knocks on the door. It was them. I knew it. The same group, their presence now feeling like a dark omen. I approached the door hesitantly, my hand trembling as I turned the knob. I opened it to a crack, their blank eyes meeting mine immediately, a silent demand for entry. I couldn't bring myself to open it further, and with a sudden surge of fear, I shut it, bolting it, my breath coming in gasps. I leaned against the door, feeling the cold seeping through it, chilling my back. The knocks continued, now accompanied by an inexplicable whispering, their words indecipherable, but filled with an intent that made my skin crawl. I clutched my phone, contemplating calling someone, anyone, but who would believe me? Desperation and fear gnawed at me as the knocking persisted. In the depths of dread, I found a sliver of resolve. I started searching the town's history online, praying for answers, and hoping to stumble upon an explanation or a story that echoed mine. Page after page, headline after headline, yet nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The local history was as mundane and innocuous as one would expect from such a small, seemingly peaceful town. The knocks grew louder, mingling with whispers, their urgency slicing through the silence of the night. I felt trapped. The incessant knocking and the whispers, now a cacophony in my mind. I covered my ears, crouching in a corner, wishing for it to stop, yearning for the comforting silence of the night. Hours seemed to drag on, and as the clock ticked towards 3 a.m., the knocking and whispers suddenly ceased. The abrupt silence was deafening. I cautiously moved towards the door, peeping through the peephole, half expecting to see them standing there, their faces pressed against the door. But the porch was empty, the night seemingly reclaiming its calm. I could hear my own heartbeat, thudding loudly in the silence. The temptation to open the door and confirm my safety was overwhelming, yet a lingering fear held me back. I retreated, deciding to wait till the first light of dawn to venture out. I sipped water, trying to calm my nerves as the TV played forgotten in the background. I jumped at the smallest of sounds, the fear refusing to release its cold grip on me. Dawn finally broke, the first rays of light timidly piercing the darkness. I hadn't slept, the events of the night replaying in my mind, turning each shadow into a specter. I unlocked the door cautiously, half expecting the mysterious visitors to be lurking outside. But all was quiet. The world outside seemed untouched by the night's eerie events. I stepped out onto the porch, the cold morning air refreshing, whispering promises of a new beginning and offering a sliver of hope. The remnants of Halloween lay scattered, pumpkins now just gourds on doorsteps, their carved faces now smiling benignly in the daylight. The world had moved on, the night's fears forgotten in the light of day. Back inside, I turned on the news, the chatter a comforting background noise. A special report caught my attention, a story about a mysterious disappearance that happened on Halloween years ago in this very town. Images flashed on the screen, old photographs of the missing individuals. I froze, my heart plummeting. The faces on the screen, frozen in time, were eerily similar to the teenagers who had knocked on my door the night before. The same faces, the same costumes. The realization hit me like a cold wave, drowning me in a tide of horror and disbelief. Was it them? Was the knocking a desperate echo from the past? A plea from the lost souls trapped in the shadows of Halloween night? I turned off the TV, the silence now a refuge from the chilling revelations. I shuddered at the thought of the next Halloween night, my mind swirling with the fear of the unknown. I didn't know if it would happen again next year, The uncertainty hung over me like a dark cloud. Would I hear that insistent knock again? Would those lost faces return to haunt the quiet night? I could only hope that by then I would be miles away, lost in the hum of a bustling city, far from the whispers of the past.